Hi, everyone. So I am so excited to be sitting down here with you as this will probably be the last sit down video I will be filming for 2024. It is so crazy to think about and really bittersweet, honestly, to say because this has been an entire full year of filming panning videos. Mostly as documentation for myself. I always say that up front. Sorry, I have like some swatches. I always say that because it isn't I want to make sure that this process and like this channel and all the videos I put up is it's not for you. As much as I love that it's for you, it's first and foremost for me and for me to document for myself the process that I go through and all this stuff. So, um all that being said, I wanted to sit down and kind of reflect on this year of panning. And I think I started really pushing out panning videos about last September, last November ish, like really diligently and intentionally putting out regular panning videos and panning content. If you look back, I have both projects that I did. I participated in multiple projects this year, but also just like reflection videos, which I think is for me is a really, really important part of my experience with makeup. And I just want to do one last reflection video for the year before we launch into 2025. And I just love being able to like wind down and sit down and outwardly process. I'm like such an outward processor. Um, process through all this. I do have a few things written down, so I looked down at my notes, but I think there was a few things that I think I wanted to reflect on and just kind of like talk out with you all. So I think first I want to talk through a few techniques that I feel like I really honed in on this year and really did my best to not master by any means, but like definitely uh like really harness my creativity and really like lean into it, you know? And I think one of those panning techniques is frankening. That has been probably one of the most exciting things I've been able to do this past year. And I've always done it to some extent, but I think to really almost make it part of my panning identity is such a weird phrase to say, part of my panning identity. But really it is like when I think about panning, like frankening to me at least, and my approach, it's such like an ingrained part of my panning um yeah, like my panning, not philosophy, but like the way I pan. I'm like my brain is sometimes the thoughts in my brain don't ever make it out into coherent words. So I'm so sorry, but yeah, it's just like to me, frankening is such like a natural way of panning and of making products work for me and of working through products and being creative with my products that I've just really been able to lean into it. I think when I think about frankening, sometimes it's about like, oh, what goes well with this? But I think most of the time, it's really the end product. I'm just like, I don't love this formula in this packaging. So I am going to figure out a better way to package this. And sometimes it just means transferring something or just switching out something, like a pump instead of a dropper, or like for me it's my mascaras, right? Like I don't like just the normal mascara applicator. I want this two-tiered one that like wipes away most of the product. Like sometimes it's just a switch. Um Even just like putting setting spray into a different spray bottle, like simple things like that. I still count as kind of like the frankening mentality towards panning, but sometimes it's actually frankening, like actually mixing products together, which is super exciting, of course, making new shades, making shades work for me a little bit better, which often means just shearing things out. It's not like crazy, but finding the right things that I can combine it with, even getting like mixing mediums and like really using them as part of my makeup process. And like finding better packaging for these mixes that I have, right? Like realizing the packaging I don't like and the packaging I do like and repackaging it that way. So it's like honestly, most of the collection when I look at it is either products I frankened, products I plan to franken, or products that I'm using in a way that it maybe wasn't originally intended, which is really cool to me. Like I hope that when people look at my collection, they'll be like, something is off about this. and I can go through and tell them the story about how I'm really being creative with my products. Um, yeah, I think that's been a really cool way, and I definitely intend on bringing that forward into my next year of panning as well. Um, Another thing this year that I think has worked really well for me in panning is discovering the methodology of using a beauty bank. I developed kind of a really unique beauty bank for myself where I really quote pay myself and what am I trying to say? Yeah, I like bring value in and out of my beauty bank, or like points or dollar amounts. I say dollars. I bring dollars in and out of my beauty bank based on personal value. So it's not necessarily the actual like ticket price or whatever comes out of my bank account, but it's really my personal value towards products. And it like fluctuates sometimes, but I do my best to, like write it down, stick to it, and even identifying like problem categories and then having consequences if I do purchase in those problem categories, right? And I think it just feels much more realistic and real life to me. It's definitely very messy and it can be really confusing sometimes. I kind of look at my beauty bank sometimes like, wow, this is a crazy mess. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But at the same time, like that is the ebb and flow of how I see my makeup collection and the money that I spend towards it, and even incorporating the whole like I also incorporate like habits and like good self-care things into it too, both spending for self-care as well as doing self-care, whether that be exercise, reading, going on walks, uh, even doing some daily chores because sometimes I just need some motivation to do that. So like really using this beauty bank as motivation like across my entire life, and for me to always be reminded, I think when I look at my beauty bank, that makeup is not my sole identity. I think sometimes like my brain thinks about makeup and panning so much that it's a good way for me to like remind myself like, oh, I I hold a lot of other hats in my life and I need to make sure I do those probably even first before this panning stuff, right? So let's say I think it also has started to help me understand what are my triggers. Because I definitely notice in my beauty bank that there are seasons, like certain times in the year. Like I've only been reporting for the last year or so, but there's definitely certain times of the year where I just like either I'm so stressed or there's so much going on or like things come up where I just purchase a lot. So like my beauty bank is just depleted, right? And then there's other times, kind of like actually right now this time of the year, I am just finishing a ton of stuff and I'm bringing in a lot of um dollars into my beauty bank, which is great. But then I think in preparation for my potential spending to kind of gear myself up for that. I think it also has taught me that I can wait. A lot of times I can wait to purchase stuff, both purchase stuff for my beauty stuff, but also purchase stuff like things outside, just like fun stuff, right? Like gifts for other people, gifts for myself, whatever. That might not even be beauty related, but like a lot of it is like I can wait and I have to be responsible for what I purchase. Just because my bank account can do it doesn't mean my beauty bank can handle it. And also I think it's taught me this year in particular that I still struggle a lot with a good deal, whether it be because I have enough points to get a dollar amount off, whether because it's a promotion, right? So then there's like this is a window when I actually have this deal. I think I do succumb a lot to it and I need to be very, very careful about it. So that's my beauty bank reflections. I'll probably do a little bit more of that later on, not sure. But anyways, that is part of some of the stuff that I have been learning this past year and definitely want to do better on next year. And I'm already looking forward, already doing my best to wait until my next travel, which is going to be in February, to do pretty much any more like beauty spending. Um, and yeah, I am doing, there's like pockets of my collection that I feel like I could beef up, but there's nothing urgent. And I need to remember to tell myself that. All right. Next thing I wanted to talk about was where my collection is at. It has changed drastically this year. I'm going to hold up one of my collection bins. Actually, most of my collection is in here. This is my everyday bin. I haven't shown this in a long time, and this is in its raw state. I have not, I often just organize it like this, just day to day. And then, but things are a little bit thrown around, as you can probably tell. And then I have my little like lip tray here. Let's see if I can gingerly hold it up. I have some like skincare stuff in here too, but yeah. So I basically work out of those two entirely day to day. And then I have a little drawer of the rest of my makeup collection essentially, but like that's all I really want to keep it at. I don't want other stuff floating around. Um, and even that is actually too much. My goal for my makeup collection, and I feel like I'm dialing in on it. You know, for a long time I was like, actually don't know what my ideal makeup collection is. I don't think it's like super minimalist, but I don't want it to be too extravagant. I think the sweet spot for me is really, especially like one of every base thing. So like primer, concealer, foundation, not even foundation actually. Um, yeah, those types of things, you know, like mascara, eyebrow, um, eye primer, like all that stuff. I really only need one of those. And then any color products would be two. Like, yeah, that is honestly my ideal collection. And I obviously have way more than that. Um, Same with skincare. I obviously only really need one and then maybe a backup. Like maybe in like large, bold, italicized font. That I don't need it around. I think I often sometimes forget that and then I purchase the backup. I'm like, you know, nothing's perfect, so I'm gonna purchase the backup or whatever. I don't need to do that. But yeah, I think that's been I'm honing in, I think, on that as a goal and that mentally. Um and in my beauty bank as well. It's like if I am beyond that, then I can't buy anything in that category until I cut back, or I give myself the liberty to purchase um, that either second item, backup, whatever, only if I've used enough of my current item, like that type of thing. I've also noticed that I would like moving forward, I would really like to be like sort of mid range. Um, with my beauty. Like I've been dabbling a lot in a lot of like the Sephora brands, but of course I'm not purchasing from Sephora anymore, so I'm not really getting it there. A lot of it I'm actually getting from the cosmetic company outlet when I do get a chance to go there, which I'm doing my best not to go there very often and only when I'm like on like traveling and close to one. Um, so that's kind of my main goal there. There's a few things that I'm debating whether or not I should lean into the drugstore for, but I think it's actually been really helpful for me to almost be like no to drugstore, no to Sephora, pretty much no to Ulta as well, and those types of things. And I do my best not to shop online either. Mac, I think, is like I do shop online from them and there's certain products that look for them, but I have also realized over the last few years is like I cannot depend on Mac for all of my products as much as I'm sure every brand would like to pretend like they could be the end all be all for one person, but I realized that that is not the case for me for that. Um, but yeah, I think it's been really interesting. And also with the whole Glambot purchases, which you might have seen me do reviews on, I feel less and less inclined to buy from them. I feel like one, while the deals are really good, just like I feel like I've gotten my experience with them. And it was fun for the year, but I probably won't moving forward, I probably won't be purchasing from them again. There's a lot of other issues that come up with them as well. Like if you look at reviews and stuff, like it's not like an amazing company by any means, right? So every company has their issues, but I think they're yeah, they're a business that I don't plan on revisiting anytime soon. Um but I have a lot of products that I got from them that I have to work through, obviously, and they'll probably be around for a while. um yeah, and I think in some ways, I'm not sure if I'm fully over this yet, but this year in particular, I got to experience a lot of products that I've been hearing about, was hyped up, and I just wanted to try them. And I feel like this was the year. I knew this year was coming at some point in my life, and I think this was a year, like as I look back now, was like the year where I just wanted to experience a lot of the things that were hyped up. So things like the Bobbi Brown Enriched Face Base, the Tatcha primer, um This one in my head was also hyped up, the Burberry eyeshadow, which isn't even made anymore. Like I got to experience that one, got to experience the Hourglass primer, Becca highlighter, even though this isn't the powder one, this is just the cream one. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I got my Becca fix. You know, other things like these eyeshadow palettes, these are just within easy reach. You know, these eyeshadow palettes, like, oh, like the Cover Shot palette looks so cool, but I'm not super excited about the eyeshadows. Same thing with this one. This one looks so cool, and it was highly reviewed by one of the influencers, but honestly, it wasn't that all that into it. You know, stuff like that where I realized that they're hyped up, but they're not miracle products, right? So I feel like I've gotten my fix with a lot of that, and I actually don't really have anything like on my wish list that kind of falls into that same mentality. So I'm hoping this next year will just be me working through the items I have, and that I can let go of those products that were hyped up that, you know, old Jamie, former Jamie who couldn't get my hands on those is now satisfied and can move on. So yes, that has been, I think, an interesting kind of reflection on the year. And yeah, I think also the other thing that has really helped is just like I showed you guys like my displays of like really showing everything that I'm working on in the moment out in the open, and I keep it out in the open all the time. I think that's just helped me a lot just to hone in focus on those things. Um yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to share about my collection. And we'll see how it looks by the end of next year, but I honestly don't envision it looking that much different. Like definitely working some products out, but I definitely envision that it still will be like kind of mid-range um in its essence. So anyways, so the last thing I really want to talk about was just what do I think is upcoming for my collection and for my panning goals. Um, I think this next year, I think kind of in broad strokes, I obviously want to continue to experience my collection in new ways. So I think that's where like frankening comes in, right? I think I also want to be working on new techniques as well. Like I picked up an eyeliner, which I haven't had in a really long time, and also picked up probably a long haul lip liner. So like things like that where they might seem like, and those are the only ones in my collection. They might seem like a small part of my collection, but I hope that it will lend itself to me trying out new techniques. And you know, even as you can see here, like I'm wearing a more colorful eyeshadow. This was more for a challenge. It was not my everyday, but even stuff like that, right? Like where I lean into maybe some other techniques and be creative with my looks in that way. Um, because I think I've just been pretty boring, I think, in some areas of my makeup. And so I kind of want to lean into like the technique portion of panning and not just like use, which I think sometimes that is um, seems like the main priority of panning. When hopefully I think it should be more holistic, right? In terms of not only use your makeup products, but be experiencing them in different ways. And you know, I feel like that helps you to not get bored of your products. Um, yeah, I already mentioned creative use. Sorry, that was next on my list, and I was like, I just touched on that. I'm good. All right. I think panning games. I think that's interesting topic for me because, well, first of all, I created a panning game, Project Monopoly, but I think reflecting on it, I don't do great with prompt-based projects. Um, and I don't know. I think there's something about just choosing a product for the sake of meeting a prompt, like just doesn't work quite well for where I'm at in my panning journey. I think some of like the two projects I plan on moving into next year is obviously Project Panoply and also Deck of Panning. I think those feel a little bit different because as much as they're prompt based, they're very open ended and allow me to choose things that I am like wanting to be working on. You know, and so I think, I mean, I always chose products that way, but I think even more so and definitely aligns with my panning goals a little bit better. So, So I'll probably be moving away from prompt-based projects in the next year, but we'll see. I'll like keep reevaluating in the especially towards the end of next year. Excuse me. I think my a big goal for me is just more pans across my entire collection. I just repressed a ton of eyeshadows, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a lot of eyeshadow to work through." And I don't necessarily want to empty a ton of eyeshadows. I think I just want to hit pan on a lot of stuff next year, both not only eyeshadows, but just like any excuse me, any like face product, color product. Like I think drill panning will be the name of the game, which I know is cheating for some, but for me, that is my panning style. I realize it's like I really want to see the bottom of the pan for multiple of reasons. First is actually just to see how deep is the pan, like where is it? Does it exist? And I think once I reach it, I first of all really feel a sense of accomplishment. It's of course like a quick one because I still have so much product to work through, but I often use a product like in its purest state first until I hit pan. Once I hit pan, then it's game. I can I can franken it. I can do whatever I want with it. I can experiment with it. It's such a weird mentality for me, but that's kind of how I give myself permission to like the different stages of panning, if you will, a product. So I can definitely see myself like for this one. I have a big dip in here right now. Once I hit pan, it's going to probably, I think I'm going to start experimenting with it as like an eyeshadow base or mix it in with my eyeshadow base. You know, stuff like that where it seems a little out there. Or even like I have some really, really dark eyeshadows. I wonder if I can make this into like a cream bronzer. You know, like I have ideas and, but I'm waiting to hit pan first. And I feel like also hitting pan first, let me show you this other one, which I think can illustrate it a little bit as well, is so this is my eye base right now. As you can see, I've hit the glass. But I think once I hit pan, then I feel like I can go in any direction I want, right? To kind of as the next goal. So I don't intend on frankening this much further, but right now I'm trying to work on this edge down here and trying to make sure that I can hit side glass as well, side pan, if you will. But I feel like because I'm such a visual panner, hitting pan first and then moving to one side or the other makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's pretty much my way of like finishing products. Um, and so yeah, I think that's kind of my goal. I think is just to see more pans across my entire collection. And then um I would also love to see like less blushes in my collection. I don't know why I have so many blushes. I really only need like two. So I hope to at least be hitting pan on more blushes, finishing up some blushes, stuff like that. Especially cream blushes because I underpaint and then powder on top. I feel like I can be working through a lot, and so I'm hoping that I will get through a lot of blush, especially as I can use lip products as blush as well. And it doesn't make sense for me to actually have a dedicated cream blush, to be honest, but just instead use lipstick in my lipstick palette, which I don't have in front of me, to kind of, you know, facilitate that. Let me see. I think there's a few products that I want to phase out completely from my collection next year. First is foundation. This is a foundation mix that I put in this bottle. So I actually have two, not full. They're like maybe like half of each bottle. No, a little more than that. It's kind of a weird, they're in a weird state, but I feel like I have one full bottle foundation left. They're split between two bottles. And I want to work that out of my collection next year. I don't think there's a huge need for foundation for me. Um, I'd much rather just use like powder foundation on top. Um, so that I want that to be gone. I think concealer has its place in my collection, but not foundation. So that's where I'm at with that. Um, and then I'm really interested because I'm phasing out, because I really want to phase out lipstick bullets. I only have two main lipstick bullets, and then the rest of my lip items are either glosses or balms. I'm really intrigued by more lip liners. I only have one in my collection right now. This is Whirl from MAC. But I just went in the store and swatched some today, and I was like, I feel like I could get behind this because I could obviously layer this underneath stuff, and it can of course change whatever's on top as well. Like I think there's a creative aspect of lip liner that I really want to lean into, but I know I need to use up the rest of these lipsticks first. We'll see if I do, because honestly, well, this one's pretty wearable, this MAC one that I have. I'll swatch it for you guys. Put right here. It is a little bit more red, I think, and warm than I'm looking for this season. And then this one from Dolce & Gabbana is just really dark. What's the shade name on this? I think it's just Ultra, unless that's like the formula type. Really dark, not quite my shade. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with this, but it's too nice to give up just yet. But yeah, those are honestly my only two lipstick like bullets left in my collection. Everything else is either in my lipstick palette, which I'll use as either lips or cream blush. So I honestly want to phase out bullet lipsticks in my collection, which is crazy to say because I was like super, super obsessed only like 2 years ago. I think it was only in this year where I was like, they take forever to use up. I'd much rather use them in my lipstick palette. I'm not doing away with lipstick, just don't need them to be in bullet form. And yeah, so I think that's why I'm so intrigued by this whole lip liner. I think, what's her name? Is it Hannah Ross? She's like, yeah, I watched her stuff a lot for her minimalist collection. I think it's a little too minimalist for my taste, but she talks about only owning lip liners. And for me, I think she does drugstore lip liners, which I think are fine, but because I don't really I don't really purchase drugstore anymore. I think sometimes I get like sucked into drugstore a little bit too quickly, and then I'm like, oh, it's a good deal, so let me just like buy one get one half off, and then the next time buy one get one half off, I just like do it again. So I think that's why I buy a lot of mid range, is because I put in that investment, so I definitely feel like I should use it. I feel like I want to expand my MAC lip liner collection. So we'll see. We will see. But that might be something I'll keep an eye on for the next year. I have a few shades that are in mind, but I do want to use up some of my current collection first. So yeah, all that to say, I think those are my main topics that I wanted to go through for this video. I'm sorry it was kind of pretty long, but actually I'm really planning for this to be my last sit down video for the year. I might be making little shorts here and there if I do some frame kitting sessions, but I really won't be sitting down like this until next year. I'm really excited already for doing this again, but I am looking forward just to a little break. Of course, you'll be seeing this video much later than I'm filming it now, but nonetheless, the feelings are the same. It's very bittersweet to think of this as the last time I will be sitting here and talking to you guys this year. The next year is just literally right around the corner. But yeah, it's just, those feelings that you get at the end of the year. So I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who has been supporting me this year, who has subscribed this year, who has been following me through my panning journey. If there's any topic that you want me to touch on, if there's any thoughts that you want me to put towards any particular topic, let me know. But I think that this has been, like, this past year of panning has been incredible. I feel very, very accomplished. I just filmed an empties video, I think in October, so I probably won't do another one in next year, but the empties in that video were quite impressive, and I'm looking forward to filming the next one in a few months. But yeah, it's just like I've realized I am capable of finishing a lot of products. Not a lot of some categories and a lot in some other categories, but regardless, I am moving through my collection, and I feel like that has helped me a lot in terms of like gauging what I can bring in, when I can bring things in, and just being more mindful about my collection and how I curate it overall. So yeah, huge thank you to everybody who has been watching my videos. And this has been super exciting, and I definitely hope to continue this type of content in the next year. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. So I wish everybody a wonderful holidays. Hope that you'll have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's and any other traditions and celebrations that you may have in your life. I hope that you'll be able to celebrate it with the people around you, and also that you'll be able to have some time to yourself too, because this season is chaotic. But I hope that you also have some time to sit down and reflect, maybe similar to this, just reflect on how your parenting journey has been like this past year, on what your life has been like this past year, and all that you have to look forward in the new year. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next year. Bye.